Hello, hello, lovely ladies. Welcome to this free masterclass about the 4 mistakes hurting your relationships. If you can see me and hear me, let me know in the comments. I'll wait maybe 2 more minutes before we get started. I'm so excited to be here today, and I have so much to share with you today. So if you can see me and hear me, let me know in the comments. And like I mentioned before, everything in this group will be completely confidential. Very excited to be here today. Yeah, let me know from where are you joining me, and let me know about what are you excited about today. So feel free to leave some comments. We'll get started in 2 minutes. I'll wait for others to join. If you can see me and hear me, let me know in the comments. And let me know from where are you joining me today. Thank you for making the time to be here today. We have so much to cover today. One minute to go, and then I'm going to get started right away. I can see some comments from California. Amazing, amazing. So happy and excited to be here today. We'll get started in 1 more minute. We have so much to cover. We have so much to speak about. And it's going to be one of the best masterclass because I do one of the best masterclasses because I do have so much information to share with you today. And yeah, so we'll get started in 1 minute. What about others? As you join me right now, leave some comments. Let me know from where are you joining. And yeah, such an honor to be here today, as I have so much to share with you all. So much knowledge, so much information. It's all about healing. No matter what stage you're in, it's really important to understand what's happening for you on a subconscious level. Very excited and honored to be here today. So as others join, please make sure you let me know from where are you joining. No one outside of the group will be reading your comments. So it's completely confidential. And I will be reading every and each comment, and I'll be responding individually to you. So let's get started. We have so much to cover today. So welcome to this free masterclass. Today, as always, I truly want to be honest with you. I want you to understand you're more than a relationship, and the reason to why I'm doing this masterclass is not just about saving a relationship or fixing a relationship. I want to support you to start healing. I want to support you connect to your worth. I want to support you know your boundaries. get out of survival, and heal. I truly want to share knowledge with you. I want to support you become the best version of yourself. It's more than a relationship. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me and see me. And as we get started, I'm just going to quickly go through what we will be covering today. So today we're going to talk about how to heal from traumas, wounded inner child that could be affecting your relationships. We're going to learn about the mistakes that you could be making on a subconscious level in your relationships or dating stage. We're going to gain a further understanding of your self-worth and boundaries. And it's all about you becoming authentic, not settling for less, and it's time to give back to yourself. I hope it's making sense. Let me know in the comments if you're ready for this, if you're ready to heal, if you're ready to change your life, if you're excited about this. Let me know in the comments. Tell me more. Where do you struggle the most? As many of you know about me, my name is Sama. I'm a registered counselor, a relationship coach, and an inner child coach. From a very young age, I struggled with my own traumas, settling for less, not knowing my worth, being taken advantage of. I lived in survival my whole life. I lived with pain, traumas. I lived with emotional neglect. I didn't think about myself as something that was worthy. I always doubted myself. I always doubted what was important to me. And in relationships, I was always on edge, not being able to establish boundaries, not being able to form healthy relationships, and running away from healthy relationships because it wasn't my norm. On that mission, I decided one day to break this cycle, to learn more about relationships, connections, trauma, wounded inner child. What I learned, it was all about me. It was all about knowing my worth. It was all about getting out of survival. It was all about forgiving myself. It was all about boundaries and standards and clarity beyond what people talk about, beyond, just the talking therapy. There's more to it. Whether you're watching this live right now or later on as a replay, let me know in the comments. Where do you struggle the most? Where do you struggle? And why did you decide to join me today? Are you, there's two options. Are you ready to attract your dream relationship, but your wounded inner child, insecurities, and low self-worth could be holding you back? Or are you number two? So number one, if you're ready to attract your dream relationship, but your traumas, wounded inner child, holding you back. Or maybe you're number two. You're in a relationship, but on a subconscious level, you feel like you're damaging your relationships due to past traumas and wounded inner child. Hi, Susanna. Thank you for being here today. So, whether we're single or in a relationship, if we don't truly heal from within, we can live in survival. We can struggle with the wounded inner child. We can struggle with traumas. We can even lose ourselves in relationships. And that's why I'm here today to talk honestly about what's happening on a subconscious level. Okay, many people might think, I'm talking about mistakes. You shouldn't be doing that, or you shouldn't be doing this. But in reality, what I'm talking about today is subconscious internal traumas. like wounds, pain, that could be hurting your relationships and connections. And I truly want to dig deep today and find out what's going on for you. So, of course, let's start with one of the subconscious mistakes that you could be making in your relationships, which is not knowing your worth. Deep down, you internalize everything. You think everything is your fault. Not knowing your worth is different to self-confidence, which many people, confuse usually. So feel free to write some notes down and let me know in the comments if you can relate to this. So self-worth does not equal to self-confidence. You might be sure of your ability to be successful at your job, to be successful in life, but when you dig a little deeper, do you truly know your worth? And it's not about your abilities. So self-confidence is more about your abilities. While self-worth is more about knowing your value outside of external things around you. Let me know in the comments. Do you think you truly know your self-worth? What's low self-worth? Let me know in the comments. For me, low self-worth is when I take things personally. I always think I'm the one responsible for things. I always downplay my traumas. I think everything is about me. I could be, in the happiest moment of my life and I still don't feel I'm happy. There's something wrong. There's something happening for me on more of a subconscious level. Let me know in the comments. What do you think low self-worth would mean to you? And how would you describe your self-worth? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever heard about imposter syndrome? Let me know in the comments. It usually describes the feeling of not belonging and not being enough. It might make it difficult for you to accept your strengths while maximizing your shortcomings. You always think there's something wrong with you. You could be in a healthy relationship and doubting whether it's gonna last. And that's when we have a lot of traumas from the past. So how does imposter syndrome sound in relationships? Of course, it's different from one individual to the other, but this is very common when it comes to relationships. I'm going to give you some examples. Let me know if you can relate to any of them. It could be in relationships, it could be in dating, it could be in different scenarios in your life. I can see a comment, my worth has improved, but I still can't experience happiness. There could be the last bits that you need to heal when it comes to your worth, because once you connect to your worth, happiness becomes a choice. Let's talk more about how low self-worth would come up in relationships. He's way too smart, handsome to be with someone like me. Is there something wrong with his judgment? Eventually, they will see through me and end it. That's one of the biggest thoughts that come up with people who have low self-worth. Everyone must be wondering how someone like him got stuck with me. That's another negative thoughts. that we struggle with when we have a low sense of self-worth. They're already in a relationship with me because I impressed them early on. So there's no way I can keep this up. And some would be, another example would be, I don't want to do this, but they expect me to, and they will leave if I don't. So you do things you don't agree with. And that's how some of the examples that show up. I can see a comment about the third point. Everyone must be wondering how someone like him got stuck with me. And that really comes from focusing on others. So when we talk about self-worth, when we have low sense of self-worth, we usually focusing on how others feel and how others make us feel about ourselves. And this is very, very common, whether you're dating, whether you're in a relationship. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to this. How do you know if this is impacting you? How do you know if you're struggling with low sense of worth? So you feel unworthy of love, you feel that you're not good enough for a partner, you compare yourself to others, you feel that you have lost your sense of identity, you need to work hard to feel worthy, you have difficulty making your own decisions, you always need validations from others, you always need to give to feel good. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of the signs that I have just mentioned. So feel free to write some notes down. Deep down, we don't think we're worthy. We don't feel good enough. And many coaches, counselors out there would say, try positive thinking and pushing yourself to try new things. But does it really work? Let me know in the comments. Do you think positive thinking can change anything? Do you think it would work? Do you think? Because the issue is that it's not about changing the thoughts. It's more about what's happening inside. It's not about you just changing the thoughts. There's something happening on a subconscious level for you. So feel free to write notes down. The mistake we make when it comes to inner worth, and the biggest mistake we make about self-worth, is thinking it's just a thought. And if I change that thought, I'm going to have a high level of self-worth. And this is not true. Let me know in the comments if you knew about this before. So many people think if we just change our thoughts that we are not worthy, we will be better. But in reality, negative thoughts are actually a symptom or a sign of low self-worth, not a cause. So don't confuse the two. Let me know in the comments. Have you thought about it that way? And let me know if it does make sense to you. Usually low self-worth stems from unresolved past experiences and emotions. Instead of the thought, it's more of a belief. These past experiences led to negative beliefs about the world around you. And if there was one emotion that drives your low self-worth, it's usually shame. We feel ashamed of who we are and what we have experienced from childhood, leading to a wounded inner child. So low self-worth is usually driven by shame. Let me know in the comments. Yes, we need to challenge them and reframe them, but we need to deal also with the main cause, which is shame. How we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves. Where do we get our source of validations? Do we seek it from the outside, or do we seek it from us internally? And that's the bigger thing that's happening for us on a subconscious level. Let me know in the comments if it's making sense to you. Another subconscious mistake that could be hurting your relationships or dating stage right now is operating from survival mode. So what's survival? Have you heard about survival before? And let me know what's your understanding of survival mode. So when we talk about survival, think about what's happening for you. Are you in the here and now? Or are you still completely disconnected from the here and now? Let me know in the comments. Survival mode is a natural response triggered by an instinct known as flight or fight. Usually, this mechanism is designed to prepare the body for action in the face of perceived threats. So usually when we face with threats, we usually go into survival to protect ourselves. And that's really, really like with everyone. You go into survival to protect yourself. But what happens without realizing when you experience trauma, usually it's possible for survival mode to become chronic, which means individual can remain trapped in a state of constant heightened arousal, even when there's no immediate threat around you. That's with us when we have traumas in the inner child and we experience anger, grief, depression before. We really stay stuck in the survival even when there's no threats around you. I'm sorry to hear that you've been experiencing survival since last week and it's really difficult for you to come out of it right now. Today, I'm going to show you how you can come out of this and how you can be present. Let me know in the comments if it's making sense to you, how you can be really stuck in survival without even realizing. How does being stuck in survival affect your relationships? Let me know in the comments. What do you think happens? Let me know in the comments, what do you think happens when you get stuck in survival? I always struggle with this, especially when I have low confidence and self-esteem. Yes, it's easier for us to go into survival because this is what we learned and how we learn to deal with traumas. So what do you think happens if you're in a relationship or you're trying to date and you feel like you're stuck in survival? Let me know in the comments. Sharing is caring and no one outside of the group will read your comments. So let me know in the comments. So when you get stuck in survival without realizing, it really change your thought processes. A traumatic event can change the way you think about yourself, others, and the world around you. For example, if you have spent years thinking, you can trust people, however, if you've been harmed by someone in a traumatic experience, you may now think, I can't trust anyone or let anyone come close to me. So you reflect it. You reflect your traumatic experiences into the wrong people without realizing, because maybe they can be trusted. Maybe you can let them come close to you. And this will affect the way you relate to others, including your partner. Okay, so I can see some comments. Let me know if that makes sense to you. Trigger our partners and affect our relationships, causes us to see red in places that they don't belong. That's exactly right. It becomes the norm and part of the day to day. It's like being in the comfort zone to be in survival. That's exactly right. Spot on. This is exactly right. This is what usually happens. It's like the new norm. You don't realize it, but on a subconscious level, you're struggling with it. It's affecting you. It's really affecting you. It's affecting your mental health. It's affecting you. What about others? What do you think? What else happens? Let me know in the comments. Becomes the new norm. It becomes part of your everyday. It really hurts you beyond what you can imagine. And usually, how does being stuck in survival affect your relationships? It makes you hyper alert. So trauma activates our brain's fear center, which sends you into flight, fight, or freeze state to help you to survive. However, when you go into this hyper alert stage after the incident, you may find yourself responding to your brain, perceiving potential threats, regardless whether there's an actual threat or not. For example, if you were assaulted, going down to the restaurant or going out at night, if someone comes close to you, you will react on the street. If someone bumps into you, you react right away. And this is when you know you're in survival. You're always on edge. Your brain is stuck in that stage, which affects your relationships on a deeper level. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. And also, you notice being in survival affects your relationships by causing you to become numb or feel numb. So the flip side of this heightened stage of arousal is what we call dissociation, where you feel numb or dead inside. So our brain helps us survive by entering this detachment stage because it's too much for you to handle. So when you go through traumas, you have like this block because it's too much for your brain to handle. There's a mental block. So what it makes you feel, you notice you feel numb because you're entering this, not being able to be in the here and now stage because your brain is trying to keep you safe. And what happens, your body will carry your traumas and you react to different things by feeling numb. Let me know if you can relate to this, or are you more into the hyper alert stage? Also, it can make you feel lonely. You could be in a relationship and you still can feel lonely and alone, and you believe no one will understand you. It can create anger and frustrations after a traumatic event. Maybe you feel less in control of your emotional and behavioral responses, and this can lead others to get really angry at you. And then this will reinforce your beliefs that no one will understand you, no one will be there for you, and it's better for you to be alone as a coping mechanism as you go through survival. Let me know in the comments if it does make sense to you and what you resonate the most with. Like I mentioned, be with me in the here and now. Give yourself the gift of being present with me in the here and now. Your healing will always come first. All of this happened to me. You're not alone. Yes, you always think there's something going, something bad is going to happen. And there's anger. And you feel like no one can understand you. It's all the effects of the traumas that you had to go through. Okay, signs you're living in survival. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of the signs that I'm going to mention. You feel anxiety all the time. You're fearful of doing anything new. Hyper vigilant. You have a busy mind. You fear abandonment. It takes you a few seconds to react. You don't even think, you just react. And you don't understand yourself. You just react to anything. Sometimes even things that cannot, be serious for you to react to them. If someone is joking to you, you can react as well. And this is when you know you're living in survival. Difficulty sleeping or staying asleep is also a sign of you living in survival. Always feeling unsafe. Difficulty connecting or feeling safe around your partner. You always create the worst case scenarios. You're always trying to resolve something. You're always trying to resolve something. There's something happening inside your mind and you're always trying to resolve things. You always think about the worst case scenario. I want you to know this is when you know you're living in survival. Let me know if you can relate to any of the signs. I can relate to these signs, all this list I have been experiencing, same here. You're not alone. If you're feeling that way, you're not alone. I want you to know that. That's why we're here today, to support you heal, get out of survival, and enjoy having healthy relationships. You're worthy of this. You deserve it. You deserve it. You're worthy of it. You honestly do deserve it. So another subconscious mistake that could be hurting your relationships and dating stage right now is trying to resolve the past and childhood traumas. So the truth is that the way we interact with our relationships today is closely related to our past experiences. As we grow, we develop subconscious belief systems. It's like, how love should look like, how you should experience love based on how, you felt as a child. So you create the same dynamics that you had as you had grown up. Let me know in the comments, how was your childhood? Did you have a good childhood? Many people come to me and say they had great childhoods, but then when we start doing the therapy work or the inner work, what we notice is that even though they love their families, but they seek validations. They always seek, for example, validations from their mom or dad. They always had to compete with their siblings. And so they live in the illusion of thinking they had a great childhood. But then when you start working with them in therapy sessions, you realize they seek validations. They have fear of abandonment. And they lived in an illusion of thinking they had a great childhood. But there's more people who are aware about their childhood and what it was like for them growing up. Bad childhood, I can read some comments. I was the black sheep and blamed for everything. You're not alone. You're not alone in this, and that's why we're here to support you. And we want to move beyond our childhood, but we can't until we truly connect to our inner child and heal from within. So, if you find yourself chasing emotionally unavailable partners, when you dig deep into your past, you may find this dynamic is actually very familiar to you. Perhaps one of or both of your parents were emotionally or physically absent when you were growing up, and your emotional needs weren't met. Some people may make the discovery they're emotionally unavailable themselves, so they run away from healthy relationships because it's not within their comfort zone. Write this down, ladies. Feel free to write this down. We repeat what was traumatizing in a subconscious effort to resolve the original conflict. If you felt rejected and loved or powerless as a child, you may recreate experiences and relationships where you feel on a subconscious level, you're trying to change the outcome by gaining the acceptance or the love of someone who's emotionally unavailable. So what you do instead, you choose partners and friends who treat you the same way your parents treated you because you're trying to resolve this original conflict. You're trying to seek a different outcome. You think, let's say this guy who's toxic, if he started loving me, then I'm going to win the approval on a subconscious level of my family or my parents. I'm going to gain the love and support from them. You're always trying to resolve something in your mind. And also, if you had failed relationships, you try to win the love and approval of someone who's emotionally unavailable. If you felt rejected and loved or stayed in toxic relationships, you may recreate experiences and relationships where you're trying to prove to your inner child you can change your partner. Instead of healing, we notice we stay in traumatized, we stay in traumatic relationships, and we create a cycle of toxic relationships based on the illusion that we can heal ourselves by fixing someone who is emotionally unavailable. Let me know if you can relate to this. The inner child is carrying the emotional abandonment, trying to fix the original conflict when we were emotionally abandoned by choosing someone who might be struggling, someone who might be not available, in the hope that things will be different this time. This is, of course, happening on a subconscious level, and you're not aware about it. So don't, think you're aware about it and you're doing it. No, it's usually happening on a subconscious level where we have no awareness. Okay, whether you're single or in a relationship, let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of the signs that I'm going to mention. So signs that could indicate that your inner child is ruling your life. You have anxiety when you make new decisions. You believe there's someone or you believe there's something wrong with you all the time. You really want to please others. You have trouble standing up for yourself or sharing your opinions. You criticize yourself often. You feel uncomfortable when you experience or you want to express strong emotions and you try to stay neutral. You don't get upset too often, and when you do, it's extreme. You avoid conflict. You feel responsible for others. You struggle to say no. You have trouble letting go of the past. You find it difficult to trust anyone. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of the signs, which could indicate that your wounded inner child is ruling your life. Let me know in the comments. And the fourth mistake I want to talk about that you could be making in your relationships or dating stage right now is being a people pleaser and not having boundaries. And when we talk about boundaries, a lot of people don't even understand what boundaries mean. Let me know in the comments if you have boundaries and what's your understanding of boundaries. I would be really interested to know more about your understanding of boundaries and what does it mean for you to have boundaries. Correct. There are rules that set to and designed to keep you safe and protect you from, falling into toxic relationships or letting people take advantage of you. That's exactly right. Let's talk more about boundaries and being a people pleaser. So, as many of you know about this, boundaries are largely formed in childhood. A child usually forms their views about what feels safe and what doesn't through their caregivers, environments, teachers, relationships. How a child is treated by others usually shapes how their boundaries are defined. When a child's needs are not met, they don't feel safe. But when their needs are met from a very young age, they start to feel safe and secure, and that can lead them to have a sense of personal boundaries. In contrast, when there's abuse and trauma in early childhood, the child can have a really weak understanding of themselves and what feels safe and what doesn't. And they don't even have the ability to form their own identity, so they rely on others to feel good and to feel safe. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to this. Did you have boundaries? What was it like growing up? Did your family make you feel like you were worthy of having your own identity and boundaries? And here's the thing, feel free to write notes down. Any type of abuse or neglect, even not intentional, physical, emotional, or sexual, is a boundary invasion. Victim of abuse experience a loss of control over their own bodies and lives. It's bigger than just mentally being traumatized. They lose control over their own body and lives. And sadly, these children often don't attempt to defend their rights, as they have learned they don't have any, they weren't worthy of it, and they continue this way in adulthood and in relationships where they seek that love and approval of someone else. I wasn't allowed to set boundaries as a child. You're not alone. You're not alone. Are you wondering what relationship boundaries are and why do you need to have them? So with boundaries, let me help you, okay? Think about boundaries as the four, walls of your home or your house. The walls are the structure that holds your life together, your bed, your food, your TV, your chill time, your privacy. And without the walls, you don't have any sense of a house or a home or a thing to belong to. Similar, healthy boundaries are the same. Without them, you don't have a sense of self. Everyone will tell you how to live your life. Without boundaries, you will settle for less and not know your worth. Without boundaries, you will tolerate bad behaviors. Without boundaries, your relationships can become toxic and you settle for less. You might feel taken advantage of, or you feel overwhelmed by trying to save your partner. And if a parent continue to, crosses your privacy, you will feel resentful towards them, and that anger shows into your body. It creates more traumas for you, and you operate from survival. And the main thing I want you to write down: without boundaries, you fall into toxic relationships. With boundaries, when you have boundaries, toxic people can't come near you because they know you have boundaries. Toxic people can't be with someone with boundaries, so you need to use it as a tool. Let me know in the comments if it makes sense to you. And have you used boundaries and they showed up as a way to protect you? Without boundaries, you lose yourself. For many of us, we get into a relationship, we tend to lose ourselves in it. In the beginning, all we want to do is be with someone. And as the relationship continues, we have to keep up with wanting to be with them, being a people pleaser, doing what they want us to do. And because of that, we agree to do what they want us to do and put our own needs aside. And unfortunately, that leads you to losing yourself. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you. Let me know in the comments if this makes sense to you. I was always scared to establish boundaries. I felt like my partner would leave me. I was a people pleaser. Once I met the right person, I realized that boundaries are healthy and my partner respects them. That's exactly right. And another comment about toxic people wouldn't tolerate them. That's exactly right. They're an effective way to protect yourself, to have your own identity, to know your worth and never settle for less. So let's use some examples of how damaged boundaries can be by an individual. So let me know in the comments if you have any of the signs I'm going to mention. So it's difficult for you to ask for what you want and need, and it's hard for you to say no to others. It's easier to take care of other people's needs and desires than your own. Other people seem to know you better than yourself, and that's also a sign that you're lacking boundaries. Other people's mood have a big effect on you because you feel responsible for them. You try to save the relationship, you settle for less, you stay for long in toxic relationships, you don't speak up when you're treated badly, you give away too much of your energy and time. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to this and if you have any of the signs that I have just mentioned. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to this and if you have any of the signs, whether you're watching this live or later on as a replay. How can you truly heal? Let's start by talking about the things you need to stop doing right now. Take a screenshot, write them down. You need to stop using self-love as a numbing mechanism. You need to dig deep to release the traumas rather than I love myself, which does work at the start, but then you're not really dealing with your triggers, traumas, and wounded inner child. You need to dig deep to feel your feelings. Using positive thinking to fix your worth, no, that doesn't work. attending therapy, attending therapy based on talking alone without any skills. Usually just talking about your traumas and not having skills and tools and not working with someone qualified, it can add to your traumas and makes it worse. Trying to impress your partner or date, you need to stop doing this right now. Wanting to change yourself, trying harder, ignoring how you feel and hoping it will go away. Please stop doing these things right now. It's really hurting you. You deserve better than this. Make a promise right now, whether you're watching this live or later as a replay. Let me know that you're gonna promise to stop doing or relying on unhealthy coping mechanisms. Comment below. Make a promise today. What do you promise to do today? Let me know in the comments. I'll wait for the comments before I move into how you can truly heal today. I will be reading every and each comment. Stop doing number 2 and 7. Oh, love this. What about others? What do you promise to do today? Many of you may wonder, Summer, how can we truly heal? So let's talk about the steps to support you heal. I wish I can have maybe 20 more hours to truly support you heal. I know we only have limited time together, so I'm going to summarize it. So first thing you need to do is to connect to your inner child. You need to feel her. You need to connect with her. You have an inner child. I have an inner child. We all do. It's part of your subconscious. She's always there. She's been collecting messages way before you can remember. The inner child is carrying the emotional wound and trauma from the past. The inner child is seeking to fix the original relationships where they were feeling emotionally abandoned or less in relationships. Your inner child is the key to your healing. You can't heal your wounds, trauma, self-worth without healing the little girl inside you that still needs to connect with you until today. Get to know your inner child. The first step is to accept your inner child exists. The first step in any healing process is acceptance. You can't get where you're going until you know where you're at. The same goes for your healing. You need to first acknowledge that your inner child does exist and they have been suffering for all this time. That's how we empower ourselves into stepping into reality. That's why you operate from survival. That's why you're not in the here and now, because your inner child doesn't have access to the here and now reality, and you need to get out of the painful delusions you have been living in. Who is your inner child? Let me know in the comments. Let's start working together. Let me know in the comments. Who is your inner child? Do you know your inner child? How do you know whether your inner child is acting, and how do you know whether it's your inner adult self running the show? So how do you know who is in charge of your relationships? Do you feel like your adult self is in charge or more your inner child? What does your inner child struggle with? What does she want to resolve? What abandonment wound, what codependency wound she's trying to resolve? You need to be the parents that you never had or you wished you had. Reparent your inner child and work with her worth. She's lacking self-worth as she doesn't have a connection with you or doesn't have connection to the here and now. Teach her every day a new lesson. So she doesn't rely on anyone. She doesn't need a partner. She doesn't need a relationship. All she needs is herself. And then start working on your self-worth. So the second step is to work on your self-worth. And there's 4 things you could do today to work on your self-worth. Of course, there's more in-depth healing that needs to be done, but let's talk about the 4 main steps. My inner child is in charge. She struggles with feeling afraid and not being heard. I completely get that. And that's when you need to connect with her. And you need to reparent her. You need to encourage her like you would encourage your best friend or your own child. So, how do we work on self-worth? Start healing the deep wounds of what's causing you and your inner child to feel unworthy. Tap into your triggers. See what's causing you to feel that way. Start using evidence to challenge your core thought, your core beliefs. Understand that without using evidence, then you're not really able to change anything. Rather than just telling yourself I'm worthy and using just positive thinking, you need to dig deep and start using evidence to challenge your core beliefs. Have you ever used evidence before? Let me know in the comments. Do you know your triggers? And also, many of us feel unworthy because we are angry within ourselves. We're angry at our past mistakes. And to heal our worth, forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness involves acknowledging and accepting what happened. Acceptance helps you release the blame that you hold against yourself and others, and it will make you feel worthy because you're capable of releasing and forgiving, which is a key in your healing. Then you need to start connecting with your higher self or designing your higher self. Who is the woman you want to become? What characteristics does she have? How would the most confident version of yourself act in different scenarios and situations? Start becoming the woman you always wanted to become. Start connecting to your higher self. And step 3 is about survival by having more awareness, of course. And what I usually suggest as a way to heal survival is to use a technique, trauma tapping technique, which is a first aid technique that can heal symptoms of survival mode and traumas. It's usually related to emotional freedom intelligent techniques and can be used without language. It's about the body and mind tool that really releases and clears physical and emotional blocks from your energy system by using, tapping techniques, your fingers, and usually start with your head and continue to breathe and find your own reasons and intentions to release what's happening for you to get out of survival. First of all, you're going to use this technique by finding the worry, feeling your emotions, staying connected in the here and now, seeing whether there's any threats around you, and then you start tapping to release and overcome being in survival. That's one of the ways that you can release survival and being in survival. And of course, there's other ways to that. And lastly, of course, there's more to your healing, but this is the start, is to start working on your boundaries. I don't care what anyone would say, boundaries, they start with you. If you don't have boundaries within yourself, don't expect to have boundaries for others. Boundaries are all about what you will tolerate and not tolerate. what you will accept and not accept. Boundaries are all about you. Boundaries are part of your identity. So start finding your own needs and wants. Start building your identity. I'm going to give you some examples, and I want to see what boundaries you want to establish today. For example, a boundary can be, I value your input, but I will make my own decisions. I do not need to explain myself. This is private to me. What about you? What boundaries do you want to establish? Let me know in the comments, whether you're watching this live or later on as a replay. Think about boundaries, usually based on what you need and want, what you will tolerate and not tolerate, what you will accept and not accept, including from yourself. I know it's been over, almost an hour, so let's continue. Let's find the conclusion and how I can support you. I will not be disrespected. I love this boundary. What about others? Come on, write down your boundaries. Let's work together. Let's heal together. We have discovered the mistakes that could be hurting you in your relationships. We spoke about the inner child. We spoke about low self-worth. We spoke about past traumas. We spoke about survival mode. And we spoke about lack of boundaries. What do you relate the most to? And where do you feel like you struggle with the most when it comes to your healing? Let me know in the comments. Where do you feel that you struggle the most with when it comes to your healing? Of course, there's more work. There's more, work needs to be done around standards, clarity, mindset, and different type of healings. But let me know, where do you struggle the most? Past traumas. I will not seek validations from others. I love this. So I can read some comments, past traumas. What about others? Because today you're going to have two options. Of course, you can review this masterclass, take notes, but you could be, you could run into the risk of doing what you have been doing, letting your inner child run the show, operating from traumas, run the risk of feeling numb, stuck and triggered from past traumas, and settling for less without professional support. Or you can come and join your More Than a Relationship program to rebuild your confidence, heal your inner child, and have boundaries and be in your dream relationship. This is a brand new program where this is really designed to support you heal past traumas, wounded inner child, get out of survival, and learn to be in your dream relationship or attract your dream relationship. Whether you're in a relationship or single right now, this is the program you want to work on, because you're truly more than a relationship. And it took me so long to really find a name for this new program. And I thought, you're more than a relationship is something that I've been telling my clients for years to make them know their worth. And this program is all in one. And I truly want to invite you to join today. You will not be disappointed, because this program will support you heal and attract or be in your dream relationship. So basically, it's all in one. And I feel like this is what you need as you process through your healing. This is what we're going to have. So once you join, this is what you will receive. You will receive 4 private sessions with me, 2 group sessions modules, worksheets, and daily messaging support. And I'm gonna only run this program once this year, whether you're watching this right now or later as a replay. Please keep this in mind. I'm not gonna run this program again. And I have a big early bird discount of $200 for the next 48 hours. If you pay in full, you will receive an extra session. The investment is $1,267, or you can do an easy installment of $275 a month for 5 months. I truly want to be there to support you. I know I can. And you deserve to have the support during your healing journey. So if you're ready to heal, I'm just going to be accepting 4 new ladies into the program, as I have been extremely busy lately. And if you're ready to heal, this is where you want to be and what you want to take. I truly want to be there for you, hold your hand throughout this healing journey. You're worthy of the support. You're worthy of breaking this cycle. And this is what we're going to cover inside. So theme 1, heal past traumas, wounded inner child, and break the cycle by choosing yourself. Theme number 2, heal emotional abandonments, insecurity when it comes to attachment style and being stuck in survival. Theme number 3, heal the need to prove yourself, codependency wounds, and develop your self-worth. And lastly, we're going to heal your fear of relationships and learn how to attract or be in your dream relationship. And like I mentioned, this is more than just about your relationships. It's more about you. You're an investment. If you don't take actions and if you don't do anything, nothing will change. And here's the thing. It's really important when it comes to your healing to not just be consistent. It's more about digging really deep and holding yourself accountable. And this is what we're going to do inside this program, of course. Whether you're watching this live or later as a replay, like I mentioned, all the 4 spots. And you have to be ready to heal to work with me. Some of my clients so my client Susanna, she started working with me. She's doing so well with her healing and healing her traumas, and I'm very proud of her. Same as Ginger, and healing her traumas, being in her dream relationship, and finding boundaries, finding her worth, same as Susanna. And Jennifer as well, from a very toxic marriage to being happily married, having high self-worth. And of course, all of this because you're ready to make a change. You're ready to change your life. And a final note from me. I really honor you taking the time to connect with me here. If you're still watching, whether you're watching this now or later on as a replay, I see you. I want you to know it's absolutely possible for you to heal fully and experience life beyond your traumas, pain, triggers. I have poured my heart into this program. I have poured my heart and soul into this program, and I know I can support you. I invite you to let me guide you. Together we can heal, let go of your childhood traumas, and you are worthy of experiencing love, life, purpose, connection, self-worth. And a reminder, always know you're worthy, never settle for less. And thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any issues that you need me to support you with, also let me know. Very honored to be here. And I can't wait to see your messages. If you're ready to join, please, like I mentioned, before joining, think about yourself. Am I ready to make a change? If you are, then message me today, because I will support you change your life forever. You're more than a relationship. Always love yourself and never settle for less. Thank you all for being here, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.